Hi, it's Corinne from My Chemical Free House. I'm doing a little short tour inspection of a house because last time I did 2 apartments, talking about what to look for with safe housing, and I did a short look at a hotel. And this is my first time. I don't usually live in houses, so I don't have access to as many houses, but this person allowed me to film. I'm not going to say where I am, but or the street or anything, but and this is going along with my checklist. I have a 15-page checklist, things you can look for when finding a healthy home. There's a nice little hummingbird. And so that has to do with all factors like outdoor air, as well as some basic construction defects you can look for, and inside things. I'm not going to be going inside this house, but that covers a few different areas. And of course, when you're buying, you're going to need a real in-person inspector. I also recommend a virtual inspection by Cheryl Seco, but this is going to be a few pointers here. So one of the most important things, and Cheryl Seco talks about this a lot, mold preventative architect, is the slope away from the foundation. So it's a little bit hard to tell here. It's harder when there's a sidewalk or a concrete patio because you don't get as much of a slope. So I think if you were building, you probably wouldn't do that for mold prevention. And sometimes they start to lean towards the house, they start to crack. This one does seem sloped away. So this watermark here that we're looking at, it looks like it's coming from the watering of this plant. So you don't want to water plants close to the building, and you'll see why here. The splashback onto the wood. This is real wood siding. It's a bit of an older house, and a little bit going into the foundation here. I mean, it could be worse, and there could be more sprinklers there. But and then another thing you're going to check for is the rain screen. So you can feel really clearly right here. There's a really nice rain screen. It's like an inch behind there, so that's good. I don't feel the bug screen. I don't know if it's still just a little higher up, or if there's no bug screen. There usually is, and you would probably have one if you were doing new construction. So wood siding is, I do have a siding post coming out soon. Wood siding is just a little, more maintenance, more painting that doesn't always suit chemically sensitive people. So another thing you're going to be looking for is the overhang. This one has a nice one, 2 feet or 2.5. That's going to be protecting some of the windows, like those ones over there. Aren't going to be getting much water unless it was a really major wind and rain together. All right, so we're going to be going this way. The slope is one of the most important parts to protect the foundation, since most foundations have trouble with moisture, water, and mold. So here's another part. It's really hard to see, but here's another part where you would have to look carefully, because clearly we have a slope going down this way. And so that's why it's also really important that this land slopes away here. But also when we're going downhill, you still want it to slope away from the foundation. So you'd have to get someone to look in here. And another thing I looked at before when I was here was if there were any sprinklers, because there's a lot of really big bushes that are getting very tree-like, and this one's actually really close to the foundation, where it was probably quite small when they planted it, but now look, it's really big and really close. And I don't know, there's a hose here. I don't know a lot about gardening, so you'd have to find out how they water it. Is it hitting the foundation, and do you see any evidence of that on the concrete or on the inside? I haven't been inside this part of the house. So you definitely would be looking at the wall here because of the plants, because not very clear on what the slope is here with all the leaves, and maybe the roots because it's so close, but I'm not sure. That would be a problem. So this is the basement. So we have a stucco. Stucco is really popular here in the Pacific Northwest, surprisingly. Oh, I'm right in the bushes. Okay. So I think what's happening here is that, sorry for all the camera movement, is that this is the whole basement concrete wall with just a concrete stucco right on it. I think that's what's happening. This is why you need help with a home inspector as well, but you're going to be looking for obvious things. So I don't think there would be a rain screen on this part, and there's also a minimum here that this should be from the ground, and this looks like it's fitting that code. I believe it's 18 inches. So they don't always follow that. All right, and then so obviously the wood, this is a wood framed house. Sorry it's so hard probably to tell what's happening close up. The wood frame house, part of the house, is probably starting here, and then that's where they didn't put a rain screen like they did in the back. I don't know why. So there's no air moving behind for water to drip behind when it gets behind, and for air to flow and dry that out. I mean, the house is in fairly good condition, but that's something that you'd want to look at. And then here we have another concrete pad that probably is sloping slightly away, and same with the stairs, and the reason you can tell is because the black part is on towards the outside and not the inside's actually pretty protected and doesn't really look like there's water there, but you could check the inside. Well, you should check the inside too, just to make sure that water isn't soaking up going that way, but it doesn't look like it from the color. All right, so the gutters is another thing to look for. These ones go underground, so when they were made, they would be going underground. They'd be draining further away from the house underground. But now that it's an older house, we don't totally know what's happening underground there. So you may want to check how well they're flowing and draining, and then you may want to open it up. You can see that you could easily open that up there and then just put a gutter moving far away down this easy slope here. No problem with the slope on this side once you get away from the concrete. So again, some bushes here, kind of palm tree doing pretty well in the Pacific Northwest. So you would want to check for sprinklers. There's a crack there too. Might want to check out what's happening there, especially on the inside, and see what kind of repair can be done there if water's been going in there. It is sloped away here. It is sloped away right here, so that may be helping with the situation of the crack, but you'd have to know how this was watered. Not seeing sprinklers, but again, you know, check how they're watering it with a hose or so yep, that is my very quick tour. Here you can see, I don't know these people, so I'm not gonna, I can't go too close. This is kind of a typical expensive but not necessarily well done house in this area. It's got stucco, and I haven't gone close enough to check it too well. I can see some errors on the roof there. Let me see. There. So, and the gutter there, something Cheryl talks about in her course, which I'll also post. Yeah, another gutter that's right next to the wall, and another difficult, and, that area there. Big problem there. So that's what Cheryl has taught in her course. And the checklist really goes over, the basics. There's a lot of things you need to look for, and there's a lot of things you can just rule out yourself before having to hire a building biologist, architect, inspector, in-person inspector. So, depending on, I guess, how old that was, and if you felt that it was so new that you could make those changes. Oh, there's another one too. My finger looked really so silly. All right, but yeah, there's so many things you could rule out yourself, especially major problems with the grade and the foundation, major problems with the roof, certain roof styles, certain ways that the HVAC or the exhaust fans are venting. The other problems with the HVAC, that would just be really big red flags for me. So the checklist helps you with quite a few of those. All right, so I'm gonna sign off for now, and I'll post the link, of course, to the checklist, and I'll talk more about Cheryl's course when it's ready to share, or when it's open again for the next round.